Hello, welcome back to Teen Story Share. This is our final week of reading creepy and spooky stories. And this week we're going to be reading from The Book of Lies by Teri Terry. This is about two girls who are twins, but they meet each other for the first time at their mother's funeral. She died under mysterious circumstances, being attacked by a group of wild dogs. And both of these girls have strange dreams about wild dogs as well. The story takes place partly on Dartmoor, which if you don't know what Dartmoor is, I have some links in the description to tell you more about it. So let's dive right in. The Book of Lies. Quinn. There are things you know you shouldn't do, like standing on the tracks when the train is getting close, or holding your hand over an open flame. I can wave it across fast and be fine, but something inside makes me hold it there a second longer, then another, and another. Train tracks and mothers are much the same as flames. Too close, too long, risk pain. If I sat and made a list of all the things I shouldn't do and put them in order, starting with the worst, being here today would be near the top. But I'm drawn to things I shouldn't do. Is it just to see what happens? Who it will hurt? Maybe. So, no matter how much that inner voice of caution, of reason, said stay away, no matter how I tried to convince myself or lose my bus ticket, and deliberately didn't wear anything even vaguely acceptable, I was never going to be anywhere else, was I? I'm shivering under leafless trees on a hill above the crematorium, my coat a splash of red in a colorless dark day, considering my options. It starts to rain, and I'm glad. She hated the rain. Not just how most people grumble if they're caught in a shower or their garden party is ruined. She properly hated it. Almost like she was made of something that would wash away, not sinew, muscle, and bone. Maybe she was afraid rain would wash away her mask, the one she's wearing in the newspapers, smiling, with a man I've never seen before. Smiling? I wonder if she smiles in her coffin, if they arranged her features into a pleasant lie for the afterlife, if they hoped it would persuade whoever's in charge to open the pearly gates, instead of giving that final push for the long slide down. Or maybe there wasn't enough left of her face. Cars start winding up the road. The first is long and black, a coffin in the back. When it pulls in front of the crematorium, it seems right that the rain goes from steady to more. It thunders down in sheets and lightning splits the sky. Even as I hang back and think about the things I should and shouldn't do, about how close to get to the flame, it's almost like the storm has made the decision for me. It says, "Quinn, you must step forward. You must seek shelter." But that's just the excuse. The truth is that I'm here to make sure she's really dead. Piper. The wind howls, rips the umbrella inside out as soon as I step out of the car. Cold raindrops pelt my face, my hands. In seconds, the wind whips my carefully arranged hair to a wild mess. Hard and furious drops sting my skin, and I focus on that pain to avoid all the others. Another umbrella is rushed over both of us as Dad emerges. But all I can think about is how the rain must pound on her coffin lid. Does it echo inside? Will she bang in protest, yell, "Oi, make it stop"? She who lived for sunny days shouldn't have her last outing like this. The pallbearers take short, measured steps despite the freezing onslaught, and I want to yell, to shriek at them, to hurry, to get her out of the rain. Dad's cold hand seeks mine, and I grip it a little too tight. Dad and I follow the coffin, follow her, follow Mum inside. One of Dad's aunts clucks and smooths my hair, and I'm pulled toward the front, the row at the front, but like the rest of this, it doesn't really register. I try the words on again inside my head. My mother is dead. My world is different. Everything is different. I know it, but I don't know it in my guts. The coffin has been placed to one side at the front, dry now. Did somebody dry it? She's inside, but it's not really her, just what's left. Knowing all these things didn't prepare me for any of this. Something is shaking deep inside me, panic is building. I want to scream, "Stop this! It isn't real! Stop pretending that it is! It can't be." Focus on breathing. In, out, in, out. They all think it's real. It's in their eyes, those that meet mine, those that shy away. Breathe, Piper. In, out, in, out. I can't lose it. Not here, not now. Focus on something else. I turn and search the faces behind us, skipping over most of them. Dad's family, his work colleagues, his and Mom's mutual friends. Not many. No one from Mom's family. No one from her past, from before I was born, 17 years ago. There is a good-sized contingent of friends from my school. Apart from but near to them is Zach. His steady gaze echoes his words last night. I'm here for you. Anything I can do, anything. Just ask and I'll do it, no matter what. And the touch of his eyes soothes me now, as it did then. The panic eases, just a little, but it's not enough. The service is about to begin when the doors at the back open, and the rent-a-vicar pauses to wait. A latecomer? I hear a disapproving "ch" under the breath of one of Dad's aunts behind us. I hazard a glance backwards. A slight figure, a girl in a red coat and muddy boots. She's moving forward toward the empty row at the back. A rainbow scarf covers her head, pulled low over her face. Who could it be? Could it... No. No way. Not here. Not now. My pulse quickens. Quinn. Rivulets of water run down my coat and my boots and drip on the floor. The scarf wrapped over my hair is soaked and I'm shivering. I catch a movement as I sit down, a head turning away. A girl in the front row. Her hair is long, half pinned up and half escaping after the wind and rain, but that isn't what makes me stare. It's the color. A deep, fiery red. Deep, fiery red hair like mine. Everything goes still inside. Everything stops. Dizziness starts to overtake me, and I have to remind myself to breathe, to take air into my lungs in a gasp. I didn't think of that. Could she actually have had another daughter? Never once did it occur to me that someone who was sort of the anti-mother, the embodiment of what a mother shouldn't be, who left me at the mercy of her own anti-mother and just came by occasionally to poke through my bars with a stick, could possibly have had another child. The man the girl is sitting next to could be the one from the newspaper. I reach into my pocket. The newsprint is wet, the words running a little, but they're well memorized. Woman dies in tragic dog attack. Isabel Hughes, 36, of Winchester, was walking the family dog late Friday evening when she was attacked by a pack of dogs. She died later in hospital. The pack of 4 was identified as guard dogs that had escaped from nearby training kennels. The dogs have been seized and investigations are continuing. Without the photo, I wouldn't have known it was her. Her first name, Isabel, is the same, but she's always been a Blackwood, like me, like my grandmother. It was a horrible enough end to be picked up by national press, and to kick off a whole debate about guard dogs and control of dangerous dogs, or I wouldn't even have known my own mother had died. She didn't visit often enough to give me any sense of regularity or time. I assumed she couldn't be bothered, and I wasn't bothered about it. The man in the photograph is identified as her husband. The image is blurred by water, but I study it, compare it to the man in front. He finally turns his head a little. It's definitely him. Her husband? He looks at least 20 years older than Isabel, but there was nothing in this article about her, this girl sitting next to him with hair like mine. Finally, the unheard words of the service are over. I will her to turn around so I can see her, but there are quickly too many taller heads in the way for me to catch any more than a glimpse of red hair. I keep my own scarf, saturated as it is, in place. This is crazy. I'm getting out of here and far away as fast as I can get. But she and the man with her, I'm guessing he's her father. At least she has one, have gone to stand by the door. They're facing away from where I'm sitting. There's a procession going by them, everyone stopping to shake his hand, to hug her. So many kind looks and words, so many people who care for them. The first ones appear to be family or family friends. Then there's a long line of teenagers about my age, boys and girls both. There are so many of them, and they must all be the girls' friends, each with a word to say, a gesture, a touch. Then there is an older, dark-haired boy, tall, who'd hung back, waited for the others to go first. His arms go around her. He kisses her quickly and takes her dad's hand, leans forward to say something. Her dad is wiping his eyes. Someone gives him a handkerchief. Wondering what would happen and who it would hurt if I came here today. I never thought that it could hurt me. Inside I'm clenched tight, twisting into knots of pain tangled with wanting. What exactly? Labels for things I've never had are out of my reach. I can't do this. I can't shake their hands and look in their eyes, knowing what I know. I slide down in my seat and will myself invisible in the shadows. Voices fade. There's the click of a door closing. Could they really be leaving me here, unchallenged? Then there is the click, 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 click of footsteps coming toward me. They stop. Hello, have we met? A girl's voice. It is a musical note to a dark day, warm and eager. I turn toward her, somehow knowing who it will be. The light from the high windows catches the fire in her hair. Her eyes are wide, curious, a clear blue-gray, the sort of eyes that change color with the light, with her mood, and with what she's wearing. And I know this because they are my eyes. Her skin is pale, light freckles dusted across high cheekbones. My freckles, my cheekbones. It's like looking in a mirror. Cryptic comments and overheard words, not understood then, but finding meaning now, are tumbling through my brain, crashing into each other. My head feels light and I'm gasping, struggling to breathe. Are you all right? She says. Do you need a doctor or something? I stand up, shake the scarf off my hair, and step into the light. Piper. It's like looking in a mirror. Even the way her hair is tucked behind her left ear and falls across her face on the other side, damp and wavy from the rain, is the same as mine would normally be. The shock in her eyes is absolute. She didn't know. We're twins, I whisper, and can hear the wonder in my voice. She swallows, licks her lips. How? I hold out my hand. I'm Piper. She stares at my hand. And you are? She jumps a little. Quinn. My name is Quinn. She gives me her hand. It is cold, ice cold, and quickly withdrawn. I look back at the door. Dad'll be looking for me in a sec. We can't spring this on him here. Not now. Not ever. Don't worry, I'm getting out of here, Quinn says, and she's half poised on the balls of her feet. She looks frightened, freaked out, and I can't let her bolt, not after everything that's happened. No, you can't do that. Please, promise me you'll wait a minute. I'll get Zach to take you, and... No, I don't belong here. She's backing away. My eyes fill with tears. I want to reach out and touch her, hold her, but I'm afraid she'll pull away. You can't, please. I don't want to lose you too. Not again. Quinn hesitates. You don't know me. I don't know you. All we share is a face. A tear trickles down my cheek. And a mother. One we've just lost. Please don't go. A mother I barely knew. Her eyes flick to the coffin. Is she really? It's as if the disbelief in her eyes makes me finally able to admit it out loud. Is our mom really dead? Yes. Do you want to see her? What? I'll arrange it if you want me to. Promise me you'll wait. Right here. Don't move. My eyes are pleading. There is a struggle behind hers. She glances at the door, and then she sighs. She finally nods. All right. Relief swells through me. Quinn. The door shuts behind her. Do you want to see her? Did she really just say that? I force myself to turn, to stare at the coffin on display at the front. Now that everyone is gone, now that I'm alone in the empty room, the coffin seems bigger, dominating the space in a way it didn't before. My eyes are fixed on the gleaming wood, and the more I stare, the more it seems to pull me in, to grow, to take over my senses, almost like it is moving closer. Then I realize that my feet have started taking hesitant steps up the aisle toward her. Do I want to see her? It would be the ultimate way to make sure she's really dead. My mouth is dry. I try to swallow. Any moment now, she might come back. This Piper. We're twins? Piper said the word, but despite seeing her and registering how alike we are, I still can't believe it. How can I have a twin and not have known about her? We're identical, on the outside at least. Could even Isabel tell us apart? Maybe that's why we were separated. I feel as though I've woken up and seen truth for the first time. A truth so unbelievable, so unexpected, and so all-encompassing that it will change me forever. But I'm afraid to focus on it too closely, on what it might mean, or why it is so. I should leave now. Anyone could open the door, rush in, and find me here. They'd probably call the police if they saw me touching the coffin. Or worse, they'd look at me, realize whose face I share, and sell the story to one of those tabloid newspapers guests sometimes leave behind in the hotel where I work. Twins meet for first time at mother's funeral. Well, it's not the very first time, obviously. We must have had at least a first gasp of air moments apart when we were born. Before that, we must have shared a womb for 9 months, cuddled close together. Her womb. And what about Piper's dad? If we're twins, we must have the same father. Is he my father too? The door behind me opens, and I spin around, thinking too late that I should have covered myself again with a scarf. But it's Piper. She walks toward me, stops close. Her eyes skip over me the way mine do over her, unable to stop myself from checking every detail, every curve, every feature, hunting for difference, but finding none. She's a little taller, but then I glance down. Her heels are higher than those on my boots. "It's okay," she says, her voice quiet. "No one will interrupt us. I've told them I want some time alone with Mum. And anyhow, Zach is watching the door. He won't let anyone come in." "Zach?" "My boyfriend. Come on." She steps toward the coffin. Her shoulders are straighter, like she's preparing herself for something, and I realize, whatever that woman was to me, she was Mum to her. "You don't have to do this. It's all right." She pauses, turns, and raises her left eyebrow, identical to a gesture I use, one that challenges. "Neither do you, if you'd rather not." I straighten my shoulders, like she did, without thinking about it, then deliberately relax them. I take a step forward, and another, until we're both standing by the coffin. She died from a dog attack. What is she going to look like? As if Piper has read my mind, she shakes her head. There were viewings earlier. The mortician sorted her out pretty well. There are 2 handles on the coffin lid. She grips the one at the foot of the coffin and glances at the other near where her head must be. "You may have to help." I slip my fingers around the handle. It's cold, smooth metal. "Ready?" she whispers. My stomach is twisting, and I want to say, "No, not now, not ever," but instead I nod. She nods back. We both pull. The lid is solid and heavy, but easy enough for both of us to raise. It swings up smoothly, and we lower it down. The coffin is open. Piper's eyes are unreadable, fixed on what lies inside it. "I'll give you a moment," she says, and turns her head by turning her whole body, almost like she can't stop looking where I'm not sure I want to. She walks away. I stare at the floor, at the wall, at my hands, anywhere but in there. I've seen dead things before, like on the side of the road, or when Cat brings in mice or birds. Or the time a fox got into the chickens years ago. That was carnage. I'd had nightmares for months after I cleaned it up. Will she be like a chicken caught by a fox? I steel myself to do this, and start to draw in a deep breath, but then choke it back. Will she smell? How many days has it been since she died? But Piper said a mortician sorted her out. Whatever it is they do, they'd made sure she lasted for the funeral. I forced myself to turn, to look. It somehow seems safer to start at her feet. She's wearing a long, heavy dress, blue. Was that her favorite color? I think back. She often wore blue on her infrequent visits, but I know so little of her, not even that much. Is the dress to hide what the dogs did to her? My eyes travel upward. Her hands are sort of crossed. One looks normal. The other is hidden in the sleeve. I swallow. Force my eyes to trail up and up. The dress has a very high neck. Did a dog rip out her throat? If dogs are like foxes, they'd go for the throat. And now it's time. Her face. She looks relaxed, peaceful. If you didn't get too close, you might think she was asleep. High-set cheekbones, long lashes brushing her cheeks. Auburn hair, not as red or as bright as Piper's and mine, arranged about her shoulders. She was beautiful. I can see that now that her face isn't frowning, suspicious, and twisted like it usually was when she looked at me. Even with her eyes closed, there's no doubt. It's her. She really is dead. Her face is heavily made up. She was naturally pale, like I am, and the rouge on her cheeks is too much. It's almost clowny. The foundation is thick, and there are barely visible variations, as if it's been filled in places. I shiver. Slavering dogs, 4 of them. Isn't that what it said? They must have knocked her to the ground and attacked. They shouldn't have done so without a command. That's what their trainer said before he was charged. He couldn't understand how it happened, how they even got out. But somehow they did, and they killed her. This is something I used to dream about when I was angry, which was a lot of the time. Her dying. But now that I'm staring at her body, I feel sick with it, with the reality of the absolute final end to her story. She's really dead. Outside, I'm shaking. Inside, something is choking. Something has stopped. There are footsteps behind me. They come closer. A hand touches my shoulder. Come on, we better go. Soft words. We swing the lid over and shut. I watch our mother's face as it disappears from view. The last time I'll ever see it. I stand there, my fingers caught in the handle, unable to move. Piper's hands are warm, gentle. She pulls my fingers away from the coffin lid, tucks my hair into my coat, then carefully wraps my scarf back around my head, knotted in front and pulled low over my face to hide who I am. She doesn't say anything about the traitor tears glistening in my eyes. Tears I can't understand. Why should I care? That woman never cared what happened to me. She was never there when I was scared and alone. She wasn't there when I fell and broke my arm when I was 6. She wasn't there years later when I was ill and screamed in terror at fevered hallucinations. Sure, creatures of the night would rip me apart if the fire didn't kill me first. She never loved me. But, even worse, now she never will. Piper. She is quiet and pliable now, and when I tell her to wait a moment, she doesn't argue. Does seeing your mother like that make you a child again, even a mother you barely knew? Despite my resolution not to, I couldn't stop myself from looking at Mum again. I'd wanted to study her, drink her in, climb inside the coffin and lay my warm body over her cold one, as if warmth could be all she needed to make her come back to me. I open the door. Zach is there, like I knew he would be. Others are visible through the next set of doors. He smiles, holds out a hand, and I take it. Your dad's waiting for you, he says. Are you all right? Yes, but can you do something else for me? Of course. What is it? I open the door farther so he can see Quinn standing in the shadows where I left her. Could you take, I say, then hesitate, not wanting to spring this on him with witnesses so close, not trusting him to hide his reaction. Could you take my friend to your place to wait for me until after the wake? He's startled to see her. I thought you were alone in there. I'll explain later. Will you do it? Of course. Zach leans forward, slips his arms around me. I lean into him for a moment, wishing I could go with them and not have to deal with all the rest. All I want is to be with Quinn. Someone else I want to drink in, to study, as if being with her, focusing on her face, could make everything else go away. I sigh and look up at Zach. Just wait until we're gone before you leave, all right? Unasked questions lurk in his eyes, but he nods. Okay, sure, if that's what you want me to do, he says. I'll take her to my place and then meet you at yours afterward. I frown. No, you'd better stay with her. Make sure she waits for me. Despite how she is now, I don't trust her not to bolt once the shock wears off. What? No way, I'm coming. I have to be there for you, like you were for me. I shake my head. Listen to me, Zach. The best way you can help me right now is to do what I ask. Take Quinn and stay with her. I gesture toward her, still standing there silently, her head lowered and turned away. I'll come as soon as I can. Please? His eyes search mine. I don't understand, but okay, if that's how you want it. It is exactly how I want it. Your family will wonder why I'm not there. He rolls his eyes, and I know he doesn't care what they think, so long as they're not causing me problems. I'll tell them you're ill or something. Don't worry about it. Another hug. I look through the doors. Dad is watching, impatient to get going. I have to go now. I'll get them outside so you two can slip away. Quinn. Their words reach my ears but float around, not understood in my mind. I try to make myself listen. This is Piper's boyfriend, Zach, the one I saw kiss her earlier at the door. Is she asking him to take me somewhere? Piper, my twin. Even said silently, the word is unreal. How could I not know this? What does it mean? Piper slips away through the outer doors. I hear murmured voices outside that, mute again when the door is shut. Zack turns toward me and steps into the doorway. "Ah, hi," he says. "I'm Zack." I feel frozen, unable to move or look up. "Hello?" he says again. "Are you Quinn?" I force out an answer. "Yes, that's me," I say. And I know the words are mine, but they sound distant, as if they belong to somebody else. I struggle to turn my eyes, to focus on him, to grab hold of something real. Tall. He's tall, dark, almost black hair, skin like milky chocolate or a coffee with cream. 19 or 20, wide brown eyes with more dark lashes than a boy really has need of. Broad shoulders, but slim. He stands easily, like an athlete. If I wasn't in some sort of coma, I'd think he was gorgeous. He's looking back at me with a mix of curiosity and concern. He probably thinks he's had a crazy relative dumped on him, one with a strange scarf-based fashion sense. A crazy relative? A smile pulls at my lips, and I stifle the hysterical giggle that wants to work its way up. What could be more true? "Wait a sec," he says. "I'll check if they're gone." He walks over to the other double doors, peers through the glass, then turns back. "They're just leaving. Let's give them a minute." When he judges enough time has passed, he gestures, and I follow him outside. It's still raining. It's steady, but not the manic downpour it was before. Once I feel the cold, fresh air, the raindrops on my face, and take another step and another, farther and farther away from that place of death, I start to feel more myself. Not that I'm quite sure who I am now. One half of a set of twins? He pulls out a key and presses it. A beep beep sounds, and he holds open the passenger door to a battered blue car for me to get in. He starts the car, drives slowly out of the car park and down the winding drive, even though no other vehicles are in front of us. As soon as he turns onto the road, he accelerates so hard that I check to make sure my seatbelt is fastened. He glances at me sideways, and I turn my head away. "So, why are you being snuck out of there like some sort of spy?" I shrug. "That was Piper, not my idea." He shakes his head. "That girl comes up with some crazy stuff sometimes, true enough, but even she wouldn't do this without a good reason." I don't answer. I consider taking my scarf off in the car so he can see me properly, but he's driving fast enough that the shock might be dangerous. Do our voices sound alike? Will that be enough to make him wonder? I resolve to say as little as possible, and keep my face turned away, at least as far away as I can, and still watch Zack. "If you don't tell me, I'll just have to make it up, and I've got a great imagination." "Have you?" "Oh yes, let's see." He tilts his head to one side, then nods. "You are a famous actress, deeply in love with Piper's dad. You can't bear to be apart, but came to his wife's funeral in disguise to stop the scandal until a reasonable mourning period has passed." Interesting. Or maybe you work for the life insurance company, handling her claim, and we're just checking she's really dead. I don't say anything to that one. Cut the insurance company out of it, and isn't that exactly what I was doing? "Sorry, was that insensitive? How did you know Piper's mum?" "Stop asking questions. You'll find out soon enough." "Or perhaps you've escaped from prison and fancied a funeral on your day of freedom." A smile tugs at my lips. A prison is close enough to where I came from, and it was an escape of sorts. "Give up," I say. "There is a reason Piper had me snuck out of the funeral, and it's beyond anything you could invent. But can it wait till we get where we're going?" "I may die from curiosity. But if you don't mind having that on your conscience," he shrugs. "I can live with it." Ouch. We're nearly there now, so I may just survive. He pulls in front of a block of terraced houses, expertly reverses into a tiny spot. Here we are. He dashes around to open my door. The rain has miraculously stopped, and the sun is shining. He stares at my face as I get out of the car, and this time I don't look down or turn away. His eyes widen. He unlocks the front door to the house and holds it open. As I step through, Zack following behind me, I take the scarf off my head. I pull my wet hair out from under my coat and turn back to face him. He shakes his head, confused. "Piper?" "No, not Piper. You saw her leave, didn't you?" "I thought I did, but you... and she... I don't understand." "Nor do I. I came to my mother's funeral, and there Piper was. Your mother's funeral? Are you twins? He says, eyes wide. I can't get my head around this. He glances at a door across the room, and as he does, I focus on the sound coming from behind it. A sound that started when we came in the front door. I was distracted enough to begin with that, but it didn't really register. But now it is louder, a high-pitched whining sort of sound. Then there is a thump-thump of something against the door. Could it be... Arf! It is a dog. My skin crawls. Give me a sec, Zach says, and moves to the door a few short feet away. Before I can unstick my tongue enough from my dry mouth to stop him, he opens it. Out bounds a blur of black and white fur that starts to leap at Zach, then realizes someone else is in the room and stops in its tracks. It turns toward me and tilts its head to one side. It'll be interesting to see what she makes of... Zach stops in mid-sentence when he turns and sees my face, and notices that I've now moved to put a table between me and the dog. What's wrong? The dog starts toward me, but Zach grabs its collar and picks it up in his arms. Are you by any chance afraid of dogs? Now that Zach is holding it, her, and the dog isn't leaping at me, I see that she's smaller than I thought, and I'm embarrassed. But even as I try to hide the panic, my heart still beats fast. I don't really care for them, I say, making a massive understatement. Well, you needn't be scared of this one. She's a puppy, not a full-grown dog. Let me introduce you. This is Ness. He picks up one of her paws, waves it at me, then puts his head behind hers. Pleased to meet you, he says, and Ness barks once as if to agree. He looks around her again. Can we come a little closer? I shake my head. Ness is just a playful puppy. She's a border collie, very intelligent and friendly, and not the least bit aggressive. She's only about 4 months old. She wouldn't hurt a fly. The only thing she might do is lick your face. Maybe you could walk toward us? The puppy and I study each other. Is Ness confused by me looking like Piper, or does that kind of thing not register with a dog? She's got black patches of fur over her ears and around her eyes, a white stripe down her forehead and nose, and big brown eyes that seem to be regarding me with eager curiosity. And my brain is saying, actually not so scary, really cute and friendly looking, but my feet won't budge, and her eyes go sad. I'm sorry, I'd rather not. All right. Ness, want to play in the garden for a while? Her tail wags furiously at the word garden. He takes her out the same door she came in through, which I now see leads to a kitchen, and then through another door to a garden on the other side. He goes out with her for a moment, clips her to a long fixed lead, and she runs around in ecstatic circles. When Zach comes back inside, she flops down on the ground, head on her paws, and watches us sadly through the window. I'll have to keep an eye on her. Sometimes she gets tangled, but the fence has gaps under it. If she's not on a lead, she's an escape artist, he says, and sits on the side of the kitchen table facing the garden, gesturing to the other side for me to sit down. But even with a closed door and a puppy, not a dog, I'm not sure I want to turn my back on her. I sit instead on the side next to Zach, where I can see both Zach and the garden. I'm really sorry, I just can't handle being around dogs. And I thought identical twins were supposed to be the same. Piper loves all animals, but especially dogs. Ness is actually her puppy. Oh? Why's she here then? He hesitates. I'm looking after her for a while, he says, then faces me. I'm sorry about your mother. His eyes are full of warm sympathy, and it makes me uncomfortable. To accept it feels like lying. I shake my head. Don't be. I mean, we weren't close. I barely knew her. Ness whines outside, and something clicks. The news report says that Isabel was walking the family dog when she died. Was Ness with Isabel when she was attacked? Yes. Somehow Ness legged it and got away. She went home, trailing her lead. Piper found her barking in the front garden in quite a state. She didn't think anything of it, just thought Ness had got away, that her mom would be home soon, but she never came. Later, the police went looking for her and... Well, I'm guessing from your question that you know the rest. They found her. She was still alive, just. Paramedics got her to the hospital, but she died soon after. And that's why I've got Ness. They didn't want her in the house just now. The whole time he is talking, he is staring at me, his eyes running over my face, hair, every bit of me, in an intense way that makes me squirm and look away, a flush climbing in my cheeks. Sorry, was I staring? You're just so like Piper. How come I didn't know about you? I didn't even know Piper existed until today. But where have you been? Why weren't you together? No idea. I was raised by my grandmother. Isabel only visited now and then. She never hinted that I had a sister somewhere else. I can't believe Piper had a twin she didn't know about. He looked shaken, much how I feel. But then I realized something that should have struck me before. Piper did know, didn't she? She wasn't shocked that I exist, even though she couldn't stop looking at me any more than I could stop looking at her. She must have known. Did our mother tell Piper she had another daughter stashed away somewhere? She never told me, but she told Piper. Piper, the one she kept. All the missing clues and connections I've been trying not to think about since I first saw Piper's face tumble into place. The way Isabel was with me, things she said, that I needed to be kept away, the darkness contained, so I couldn't hurt anyone. And it didn't sound like Isabel was doing all this as a service to humanity. It was more personal than that. She never filled in the blank about who I might hurt, but it was my twin she kept me away from, wasn't it? Isabel was making sure I was kept away from Piper. That's why I didn't know about her, and that's why Piper did know about me. No wonder Isabel never needed me. She had Piper. A carbon copy, but one who smiles more. One who is nice, whom people like, whom her parents and someone interesting like Zach maybe even love. Something that the day stirred and softened inside me shifts back and hardens. I was always right about my mother, wasn't I? Who cares if she's dead? Not me. I'm glad. And no matter how Isabel wanted things, she's failed. I'm in Winchester with her precious Piper, and there's not a thing she can do about it. In fact, she is the one who brought us together. Her death did this. I crossed my arms, holding myself in. You haven't got that quite right. Piper knew. I didn't. Zach doesn't answer, but I can tell he doesn't believe me. He doesn't think Piper could keep such a big secret from him. He doesn't know that I never lie, except to myself, and I'm finished with that. If you want to know more, check out this book at your library. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you again next Friday on Teen Story Share. Bye!